Hey, just get it out. Go ahead and honk as much as you want. You feel good. There you go. I don't know what horn that was, but that was not a horn. Good morning. How's everyone doing today? Great. Good to see you. Hey, I do want to wish you a happy 4th of July weekend. I know in a crazy political world, I'll tell you this, I'm thankful for the country God has given me to be able to get up and preach and share the gospel. And I know that I'm not worried about somebody busting through these doors and arresting me right now. I guess there's not really doors out here, but you know what I mean. So we are so grateful to be able to gather. I know it's a little different, and I know some of you are sitting in your nice, cozy, air-conditioned cars. I did commit to this group over here, all in the shade. I will be done preaching by the time the shade is past you. So you're going to keep moving closer and closer to the wall, and then I'll watch. As soon as it's done, I will be finished. But no, I am always so grateful to be able to gather together. July 4th weekend, many of you guys were out and about, had parties and different things. Many of you may be watching online. I had so many people over. You're like, I'm just going to watch online today. That is great too. We are just so grateful to be able to gather together. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to jump into what God has for us this morning. So would you pray with me? God, we come to you. We lift you up. We praise you. We honor you. God, we are just so grateful for the country you've given to us. God, yes, it's not perfect because it's full of imperfect people. But God, we are so grateful for the freedom to be able to preach the gospel and be a church that is able to be a light in our community, in our state, in our country, and really around the world. God, we just praise you. We love you. We honor you. God, I ask that you speak this morning. In Jesus' wonderful name I pray. Amen. I know you have heard me talk about these different stories and different things, if you know me at all, but I had the opportunity to play 4 years of college basketball, and it is to me one of the highlights of my life, just getting able to do that. I'm broken down now physically because of that, but that's okay. But I had the opportunity, but my last game, I played in a national championship game. It's a National Christian College Association championship game, and we won on a last-second shot. Seriously, it's an incredible video. It was just able to say I won my last real basketball game is a lot of fun. But they gave us a banner. They gave my team a banner, and a few years ago, my college, which I went to, Grace Bible College, changed their name to Grace Christian University. And so what they did is they went in and changed all their banners and changed their color coordination and all the different things. And then what they decided to do as a little bit of a fundraiser, they would sell all their banners to players and different things. And so when I saw that or heard that, I went, you know what? I'm going to buy my national championship banner. I told my wife, I said, I don't care what cost it is. She's like, really? I'm like, I'm buying that thing. Do you realize how many hours and hours and hours I put into trying to win that? And so last year, I was able to, it's upside down, there we go. I was able to buy this. You see it? It's a little windy. I know some of you guys in the back are like, what is that? And so I was able to buy it. I don't remember how much it was for, but it's not about a piece of cloth to me. It's about the sacrifice, the time, the effort, the highs and the lows of basketball. And I'm so thankful to have this banner. So I want to hang it up in my house and be able to kind of remember all the different good stories and bad stories, right, that come with a basketball season. The reason I tell you that story is not so you can be like, oh man, he was fit at one time. Yes, I was fit at one time. But I wanted to tell you that story because it connects and correlates with where we land in the book of Exodus this morning. In Exodus chapter 17, we pick up with Moses. What I believe is one of the best pictures of what the church should look like and should be. In Exodus chapter 17, we see the Israelites really coming to their first battle. Yes, they were saved from the Egyptians that were trying to run them down after they were just released to run to where God had promised them. And then God did an incredible work and calmed and parted the Red Sea, and they were to walk across on dry land. And then what did God do? He delivered or saved the Israelites, the Hebrews, from the Egyptians. But in Exodus chapter 17, we see the first real battle from the Amalekites, where the Amalekites were picking off the Hebrews. What they would do is at night, or they would see the ones that were straggling behind, what they would do is they would go and capture them or even kill them. And so God talked to Moses and said, hey, you need to go to battle against the Amalekites. And so Moses got his inner circle together, and they went to battle against the Amalekites. In Exodus chapter 17, I'm going to read the story to you in verse 8. It says, and then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim. So Moses said to Joshua, choose for us men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses told him and fought with Amalek. While Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed. And whenever he lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands grew weary. So they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, while Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side. So his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the sword. And then the Lord said to Moses, write this as a memorial in a book and recite it in the ears of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it, the Lord is my banner, saying, a hand upon the throne of the Lord will have a war with Amalek from generation to generation. This is one of my favorite stories in the entire Bible. I love it because it really shows what a true church should look like. I preached on it in September, and if you remember correctly, if you're newer, I brought up some people from different sitting in the crowd, and they came up and they held up a stick and they tried to hold it and obviously grew weary, and then we brought up some people to hold up their arms. I love that picture because that's really what the church should be. I know this isn't a news flash to you, but we get weak at times, right? Okay, that's just the pastor. That's somebody else, but we get weak at times, right? We grow weary. And I love the story of his friends and his family, Aaron and Hur, his brother, and one of his other leaders getting up and saying, hey, I can see Moses getting weak. And so what they do, they went up, they got him a rock, and they set him on the rock, and then that'll preach a message as well. They set him on the rock. That's where you find yourself. And then they held one arm and held the other, and they saw the victory of God come in their lives. And they saw God win a great battle. They saw God do something incredible simply because they loved one another. They cared for one another. They watched. I love in the passage how it says they noticed him growing weary. It wasn't like Moses saying, guys, I can't do this. They knew him well enough to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to jump in. I'm going to care for you. I'm going to hold your arms up so that we can find victory. But really where I want to land, and I won't be long this morning because some of you guys are sitting in the sunshine and your farmer's tans are already flashing and your heads are burning. That's why I got a hat on, because I'm bald. But I want to land someplace this morning, and I want you to hear this clearly. I believe it's freeing and it's powerful, and it's something that I believe you can take with you every single day of your life. At the end of the story, after they achieved victory, After the Hebrews, led by Joshua in battle, see God do a great victory in their lives, and they do something. In verse 14, then the Lord said to Moses, write as a memorial in a book and recite it in the ears of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Verse 15 is where I want you to see and hear. And Moses built an altar and called the name of it, the Lord is my banner. The Lord is my banner. In the Hebrew, it's interpreted to Yahweh Nisi. It's a picture of a symbol. It's a picture of an insignia on an arm. It's a picture of identification. It's a picture of victory. What God was trying to instill in the Hebrews is if they trusted Him, if they leaned on Him, if they called on Him, if they identified with Him, they would declare in their lives, Yahweh Nisi, the Lord is my banner, the Lord is my victory. Yahweh Nisi. I don't know about you, but at times I feel defeated. At times I feel beat down. At times I feel like, you know what, I can't really do anything right. I tend to keep stumbling and stumbling forward. But what I love about the grace and the mercy of God is that I can declare over the sin, over the brokenness, over the hurt, over the pain of my life, Yahweh Nisi, the Lord is my banner, the Lord is my rock, the Lord is my victory. And He got us and received and gave us the ability for victory at Golgotha through the cross of Jesus Christ. And so I can say when the enemy causes me to stumble, because that happens on a daily basis. When I stumble and fall, I can hold up my banner and look at the identification on my arm and say, wow, the Lord is my banner. He's my identification. He's my victory. Thinking about this weekend, thinking about July 4th, thinking about the hurt and the pain in our country. Man, I spent probably too long watching the news this morning, just heartbroken. I don't know about you, maybe you don't get heartbroken, but I just turn on the TV and just see the hate and the pain. It just saddens me. And I got to go, you know what, you got to get ready to preach. It's so hard. But thinking through this message, thinking through this concept of the Lord is my banner, the story of a man named Francis Scott Key came to my head. Francis Scott Key was alive in the early 1800s. Francis Scott Key was a pretty prominent person. And he, in 1814, the United States was in the middle of a war between us and Britain or England, called the War of 1812. And in 1814, the U.S. was on the ropes. The United States was really on the ropes. Previous year, the White House was burnt down. They burnt down the Library of Congress. They burnt down other major things in Washington, and then they went from city to city, England did, to try to destroy what really the colonists and the United States had started to build from 1776 and the late 1700s. Well, in 1814, Francis Scott Key found himself right outside in the harbor of Baltimore. See, that was the site of England. Their next victory was they were going to attack Baltimore. A big fort called Fort McHenry. Fort McHenry was a stronghold of the United States Army. And Francis Scott Key found himself trying to free one of his friends on an English ship who was captive. And he was sitting watching the English barrage Fort McHenry, knowing that the battle was pretty much coming to an end. and that defeat was imminent. And the English wouldn't let him off the ship until the battle was over. And then Francis Scott Key saw something incredible. He saw these bombs and these cannons hitting Fort McHenry all night. And in the morning, he saw something waving. If you know the song, he saw the American flag. He saw this banner. And at that moment, he penned the Star-Spangled Banner in 1814. Talking about how the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. And he saw that banner and realized that, at that moment the U.S. could find victory. And it seems so relevant in our current culture, our current world, that yes, as we continue to try to work through this tough time, that we can stand united and fight through this enemy, this brokenness. You're like, well, how do you tell that story? It's such a beautiful story of victory when defeat seemed imminent. A symbol gave a picture of victory. I don't know about you, but there's times that I feel defeated. There's times that I feel that defeat is imminent, that I can't get through till tomorrow. I don't know what tomorrow looks like. I just feel defeated. But I need you to hear this. Yahweh Nisi. Yahweh Nisi. The Lord is my banner. The Lord is my victory. You know what's great? The prophet Isaiah wrote about it. Years later, he said, the seed of Jesse, the seed of David, would not be just a symbol of victory, would not just be a symbol of our banner. He would be our banner. And so the only way that we can get through, the only way that we can get through this craziness of this world, the defeats, the stumbles, the heartbreak, the hardships, the hurt, is realizing that the Lord is our banner. The Lord is our banner. You're like, you're preaching this hard. Yeah, because I don't know if you hear me. But also, it's a passionate concept. The idea that in Exodus chapter 17, the Israelites saw defeat as imminent. They had weakness. They were in the midst of the battle, felt bombarded. Yet a victory was imminent, not by their own might, but by the power of Jesus Christ. By the power of the Almighty God working in them. It's more than just a symbol. It's an identification. It's a reality. Because what the enemy wants you to do is feel defeated and then live defeated. And I can't have any victory. I have no hope. Well, what Jesus Christ did 2,000 years ago on a cross, we can say the Lord is our banner. We can point to the cross. We can point to the resurrection of Jesus and say the Lord is my banner. We can wear it on our arms. We can live like it every single day. And that is how we must live. It's a symbol of hope. It's a symbol of victory. In a few moments, we're going to baptize a couple people. You say, well, I've never been baptized. You know what baptism is? A symbol of victory. See, baptism doesn't save you. Baptism is a picture of what God has already done in your life. You say, I've never been baptized. We got clothes up here. It's 85 degrees. I can't tell you what the temperature of the water is, but right? Now, if you want to get baptized, we would do that. We got some clothes, we got some towels. But here's what I want you to hear. I want to leave you with this. We're going to sing a song. I'm asking you to hang around through this baptism. If you want to get baptized, what you can do is you can come right over here to, it'd be your right on the stage, and say, hey, you know what, I want to get baptized. We'll baptize you today. But I need you to hear this morning. Yahweh Nisi, the Lord is my banner. A symbol, not just a symbol, not just a picture. It is your victory. He is our victory. What he did on the cross, our sin caused defeat. But Jesus Christ, through the power of the cross and his blood and his resurrection, 3 days later is how we can have victory, and that we can declare to a broken world, to a broken system, to a broken defeat in our lives, to wherever you find yourself surrounded, you can say, Yahweh Nisi, God is my victory. You ready? Let's see it. We're going to sing a song, See Another Victory. If you want to get baptized, you want to receive Jesus, you want to know more about this victory, come on up. We would love to help you with that. We'll set that up. But I want you to sing this out with us. Seeing a victory in your life.